Hello, everyone, all the school principals. Thank you so much for joining us in this important discussion. First of all, I want to welcome Dr. Professor Deependra Kumar Jha, the Vice Chancellor of Adamas University based in Kolkata, for joining us in this very important discussion. We have some education leaders, school principals, if you want to call them, from different part of Eastern India, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Bengal, and all. The purpose of this discussion is actually the way we see education is going to change. That's why this discussion we are organizing. We want to outline the future of education. Dr. Jha was also VC of the most famous university, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, UPES Dehradun, and he was also VC of GT Goenka University, Gurgaon. Before that, he also worked as a pro VC of GT Goenka University and founder Dean of School of Engineering and Technology of Galgotias University in Greater Noida. And he was also Dean of School of Engineering and Dean Academics of GT Goenka University before that, and also a senior faculty and international relations coordinator at very famous VIT University in Belur. So he's a doctorate of engineering degree in electrical engineering from Hiroshima University, Japan.
Yeah, our vice chancellor has been waiting quite patiently, but it's good that you had a glimpse of so many voices. I think 17, 18 voices from across eastern, northeastern, up to central India, up to Raipur. So, in the light of these entire comments and observations, we request you how school and higher education can collaborate. What sort of things can be done more in the schools? Your suggestions, Dr. Deependra Jha, Vice Chancellor, Adamas University, Kolkata, former Vice Chancellor, UPES Dehradun, and former Vice Chancellor GD Goenka, Gurgaon. Over to Dr. Jha.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, one and all. It's been quite an enriching experience actually listening to all of you. And in fact, almost everyone spoke something unique, and you have summarized it well. I would say, Darwin has had long time back. I mean, he said one thing, that survival for the fittest. All of us are in the survival game actually, and it's not that because of COVID we are into this game. In fact, for some time back, it was there, it was coming actually. It came in the form of COVID, or the restrictions that we are having it now, experiencing it. But things were changing, the world was changing. I would say the education industry, which is supposed to learn it at the quicker pace than others, was actually slow in responding. I can give you example. See, a lot of other, for example, we started, work from home when we were forced to. For most of the industries, work from home was a norm actually. They used to do, occasionally. I used to speak to my colleagues, not necessarily at the place I'm in now. Normal, I'm teacher colleagues, I'm talking, teaching fraternity. They would say that teaching is different. You need physical presence actually in order to impart knowledge. I think that myth has been broken now. Now nobody thinks this way. Otherwise, what have been we doing now if we have to be physically present there? I think with the advent of IT technology, I would say the so-called literacy that normally we used to refer is actually tech literacy or IT literacy actually. So if you are not IT literate or say tech savvy, you are not a literate person anymore. So I think there are certain things being redefined now. Yeah. After listening to all these things, I would say, one thing that stands out, in fact, the two terms actually, one is innovation and second is resilience. How innovative, I mean, we could have been even earlier, but we thought maybe, I think someone very rightly said that we are first. In fact, Miss Tamanna, I think she said very rightly that we are unlearning first, because we as teachers, we used to only teach, but very seldom learn. Now we are forced to. So I think this is a great opportunity, and it's a reminder actually to us. Because see, with the advent of IT, with Google, when the Google came, I think it was late 90s and early 2000 when Google started this. When the personal computer, computer became personal. I think since then, so-called the search engine, innovation. I think people have started getting information there. I mean, so when we were students, we all were students. The teacher lecture note would have been like a great thing actually. If we can find teachers lecture note, now someone said that now we are giving, we have to actually, and they are not actually proprietary thing anymore. Yeah. Now everything that one can think of, no matter how good a note that you can prepare, it's everything there, and better than that you can find it in Google. You just need a wise head actually to find it out. So I think we need to actually we had to learn more to teach, but we never did actually. And we am talking in general. I mean, maybe some of us actually enthusiastically we learned, and we always had this learning habit. But I think this is a reality. Be it school education or higher education, most of the institutions are in this law. Because teacher thought that artificial intelligence, other things coming in, maybe other jobs will go, but teaching will remain. Of course, teaching will remain, but what form of teacher? Not the form of teacher we have these days. So I think from transformation of ourselves as a teacher, from a source of information to source of inspiration, was long due. You know, unless we are able to create that magic in classroom, I think nobody is going to listen or hook to us. We were forcing them to be in class. So I think this is a realization. I think this situation will go, this will end. And if we again go back to the same situation that, okay, now this was only a temporary arrangement and now let the student come back and we are going to force them again, and without ourselves actually, innovating and, improvising our approach, I think this will be a big mistake. And I think whole teaching, I mean, we are going to be redundant or say probably not useful anymore actually if we continue to teach the way we teach, way we used to teach. So I think the first thing, that innovation is the key, and not only for teaching, but teaching cannot be an exception. Everything starts with innovation. And institutions who can actually see things coming are actually doing better than others, be it school education or higher education. I can tell you one thing. When 14th of March we declared, this announcement was made that everyone will now go back home, and the first idea was send our student back their home, because some of them were from Bangladesh, Nepal, and some other places northeast. But I think immediately we were among first few who could actually resume a digital class, because we were prepared, and we always used to have this online. In fact, if you ask me, even in my earlier institution, one course, one subject, as we call, one subject was always through digital mode, because digital was a reality and we identified it earlier. A Swayam portal was there, but I think now everyone has access to Coursera. So I think these these platforms are going to stay actually. The second thing is resilience. Resilience is how if plan A fails, because all of us actually shared the same notion, same uh, emotion, that we were actually clueless in first couple of weeks. So I think eventually, I mean, anything that happens, even to be it an institution or a person, I think the first thing is you get a shock. If you are not prepared for something, if something come unexpected, you get a shock. I mean, imagine, I mean, we go to, I mean, God forbid, no one actually goes through this thing, but just I am taking one example. You go to a pathology lab or a doctor, see a doctor, and you get something which you never expected. So the first thing would be a state of shock, and this is what happened here. You were diagnosed with something, cancer, diabetes, whatever. And then what happens? First day, first few days, depending on what kind of person you are, you keep wondering that, oh God, I mean, billions of people, why only me? Why this happened? If it had to happen, why here? Why with me only? Why here only? But then what happens? Wisdom prevails. You can't be in the state of shock for long, and you start learning. But that's called forced learning. You are being reactive learner. So I would suggest, actually, all of us would agree on this thing. We all are actually handling, are in education sector, be it school or higher education. We need to be proactive, actually. So those who were actually already into, online in some form, I mean, like, at least you were not using this, the colleague said, my friend said that, they had a very good, robust digital team there in place. So I think if something is inevitable, this was bound to happen. How prepared we are? So I think then we start thinking and, making plan B. But if you are resilient, I mean, I am from electrical engineering background, and I also worked in a load dispatch center where, you actually dispatch the load. Even for a second, if light goes, then, we think that, I mean, the whole world, I mean, without light, without a smartphone these days, I don't know, I mean, who is smart actually these days, the set in hand or ourselves. But then, we panic actually. So even a second or even for a minute, it should not go. So there, being resilient actually works. If plan A fails, what is our plan B? That's extremely important. Something came, but then, even other things also would come, in future, and we need to be prepared. There is always a good side. Someone said, I think, Mr. Tripathi, actually, he had to depart. He said that, even parents are being watched. Parents are watching us. But in fact, the other side of the story is even parents are being watched by the kids, by the children. Because, children were, most of the time, 8 hours, 7 hours, they were into school. When they get, used to get back home, maybe they would go for, maybe watching TV, do homework, and, go outside to play. Now they are locked actually along with their parents. So when we say, I think most of the students, most of the school actually write this letter actually, in fact, to all the parents that, you are partner. You are actually partner. We are actually partners in imparting education to your world. Now actually they are, their behavior, how they behave in, their houses. I think that's also extremely important. So they are also being watched, and I think children are going to learn more from them actually now than ever. So I think as an education provider, because that's going to, in new normal, what we call it, it's going to impact our way of imparting education. So I think if any time, I mean, it was high time that they were actually our partners. It's now. So we need to have parent teacher meeting and things like this, as we do with a session with the students. We need to do with parents as well, and we need to keep reminding them that some of those things which subconsciously or unconsciously will happen or may happen in those four walls may have lasting impact on children. So I think a lot of things now, our responsibility has gone higher actually, I would say. Yeah, someone talked about research based study. I think that's one thing that actually impressed me a lot. I mean, I think already if you see IB, International Baccalaureate, or even IGCSE, which is Cambridge, this thing, ICSE also, and some of the CBSE schools also have implemented these things, that research based study. I think something what we call self-learning is extremely important. And in order to make them understand, because they are, I mean, I'm talking about particularly, not the toddlers, but even toddlers. I mean, I could see, I mean, my children, I mean, they actually were in IGCSE and IB for 9th, 10th, and then IB in 11th, 12th. I could see that, they used to know this term plagiarism. I mean, I remember that we heard this word very late actually, because those days the search engine were not there, so finding plagiarized material was also difficult. Now almost every school has these days Turnitin or software like this. So I think research based education, where they are going to explore themselves a newer avenue for themselves, I think is extremely important. So what we call lifelong learning is not just a buzzword. We need to make our student lifelong learner. They need to understand, first we need to understand actually that we are lifelong learner. We need to unlearn and relearn, understand the art of learning and relearning, and then probably ask our students and prepare them, for project based study, research based study, so that a portion of what they are supposed to do has to be uh, from students. And we need to make, of course, proctoring mechanism and other things has to be in place, but I think there are ways to do that, so I'm not going to speak on that. Open hour concept is a very nice thing. So I think one actually of a friend, he spoke on open hours. I think open hour is a good concept. I think it was happy learning hours, but I would say having an open hour where a student, while they can always ask question, ask on the chat box and everything, but I think they should be encouraged even to speak, because there are certain aspect of learning which includes actually the speaking, being vocal to something, bringing out that you know getting rid of that hesitancy in them. So I think open hour concept probably is something that you may like to have it in your daily this routine that you are going to you are having it. I think children, in fact all of us get into panic mode if there is uncertainty. We also don't like uncertainty, but the children are more vulnerable. I think there is some background noise. Can you ask Jafar? I think Mr. Jafar, I think he is, yeah, sorry. So I think all of us actually get panic, and if not panic is not right word. Actually, we get anxious when we see that uncertainty ahead. Someone talked about, I think Mr. Hota, I think he talked about economy of operation these days, and it's actually suffering. I mean, all the institutions are on the same platform at this moment. When we adults, we think that uncertainty, we can actually analyze things that something is there, maybe it's a matter of 2 months, 3 months. If we get anxious, what about toddlers, or what about the children? I think they get and this may cause even depression. I mean, all 12 years of hard work, and they would have thought that now I am going to go to a college, a university. Suddenly this thing happened that they don't know even that when the exam is happening. So I think within this uncertainty, how can we introduce element of certainty? That's also, it's our, I say that it's the leader's job. We can actually, so maybe daily, monthly, and then weekly, monthly schedule at least we can provide, and I'm sure that you are doing it now. That has a great psychological impact as well. And those who cannot be like given only these things, like someone I think Professor Ujjwal also said that those who are at on the verge of going to colleges and universities, I think they need more of your counseling. And as a institution of higher learning, we also feel that it's our responsibility. And if you can, we can connect. I mean, today we become friends, and we can be connected. And how can we influence? How can we help each other? Because you are making the foundation, and we are taking it forward. So I think all the more reason that we don't work in silos. We need to work together, and we need to come closer. And whatever we can actually, support in this crisis, to help, coming out of it, we would be glad to. We have professional counselors. We have Department of Applied Psychology, professional counselors, and they can, they will make psychometric, the test and all, and it can be, done. I mean, very methodically, very scientifically, it can be imparted. So that's something that I would like to mention here, just as a generous this thing. Otherwise, also it's important. This uncertainty has to go. Yeah, we all want to be certain to some extent, even though there is uncertainty. Everyone knows that one day we all will die, but still there is an element of certainty, and we all live happily. We find time to be happy. The same thing we need to do to our students. So I think a lot of things, a lot more things that we are actually responsible for these days. So I think when we are, this is going to change, and this is actually something for what is happening today. But I think a lot of things will happen, and one can forecast it. It doesn't require a rocket science actually to forecast some of the things. There are some of the things that is irreversible, that will not change. Use of technology, how IT intervention, that is going to be irreversible. Even if without, no COVID or COVID, it is not going to alter this, because it was there, already there. And I can tell you, there are, learning to learn is the most important virtue that one can acquire. Already there are institutions in the world. You Google it, you will find it probably today, that there is an institution in US. There are no teachers, and that's a scary thought. We all are teachers, and getting to know something that there won't be teachers. There are no teachers, and this is an institution. There is an institution which says there is only one person there, who there are computers and headphones and all, and there is a facilitator, but only one notice board there that says, if you want to ask something, or if you don't know something, if you have any issues, please Google it. So I think things are changing, and we also need to change. Yeah. So I think now we may be at homes, but I think things are changing to an extent that now there will be education, or say skill or knowledge access to larger population now, because now people have discovered this new medium. Earlier it was there. Zoom has not come today. I have been using Zoom because I was earlier, Professor Ujjwal was also earlier part of a network actually. So it was a laureate education network, and it was actually 70 institutions, and I was vice chancellor of one of the institutions, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, which is in Dehradun. That was part of a network of 70 institutions. So we were using it, and some of those institutions were in South America, Europe. The time difference and all. We have been using this. I have been using this for at least 4 years now, 3.5 years. Zoom was there, but now it has become a household name. So I think now people, even a common person. Yesterday, I had a small function actually at my home, and for the first time, we organized a Zoom meeting actually in the family, among family person actually, who are located in different places, Jaipur, Delhi, one in Patna, and we all had a very nice, function, cake cutting and everything. We thought this is a new normal actually. So I think behavioral changes. This is going to be, reaching to far more people than today it is. So it is a good thing that has happened. From that angle, I am saying, vocational education and skill-based education. Maybe we will have a time when you don't need these. Maybe slightly far that possibility is, but this is coming. That you may not need a real vanilla programs, vanilla degrees, BA, BTech, this thing. All you need is a skill which is important. Artificial intelligence, for example, blockchain. Skills are more important, going to be going to play more important than actually other things. No institution, all of us actually, my institution, yours included, can teach or equip students which is going to last for 35 to 40 years of their active life. That's what the active life is. No institution can do that. See, things are changing so fast, right? With the advent of in fierce competition, IT invention, etc. So I think all we can teach actually is the notion of lifelong learning. Let them learn. Let them be capable of learning something. Let them be resilient, so that something fails in life, they are equipped enough with this education that we are going to provide, will show the path to them, and they become a better learner, and they know that what's in future actually. So I think these are certain things. I'm sure that we have come to end of time, and Professor Ujjwal will give me that sign. So one thing that I would say is, things are not normal, but I think let's enjoy this new normal. There are a lot of things that is a take home for all of us. Some of the things, despite we had some hints, but we have been actually ignoring these things for some time. Now this is the time, perform or perish. I think teachers who are, we are never too old to learn new things. So I think some of us said that, some of the teachers, they find it very difficult. We are never too old. Things are coming and we have to survive. Survival game everyone is playing.
Thank you.
Institution, people, everyone. So thank you so much for patient listening.